He pointed a loaded weapon at me for refusing his demands, completely unaware of my real identity. "Sign the agreement now, or face the consequences." Those were the first words from the man who rolled up my driveway in a modified utility vehicle. No greeting, no proper introduction, just an immediate threat delivered with arrogant confidence. His cart was decked out with amateur police-style modifications, flashing yellow lights and HOA cop decals applied crookedly across the doors. His uniform was a mismatched ensemble, a blue windbreaker with a plastic badge, tactical trousers, and a belt clattering with unnecessary gear. Meanwhile, I was simply enjoying my morning coffee on the porch. He didn't even offer a basic greeting. "You're the new property owner, correct? This location falls under Oakwood Estates jurisdiction. You must complete the membership forms and submit your annual fees immediately." I took a slow sip from my mug. Actually, it doesn't. My land survey confirms this property remains outside your boundaries. His expression hardened. "Everyone in this area participates voluntarily." "Then I suppose I'm not everyone," I responded calmly. "Before we continue, I'm curious which country you're watching from today. Let's see how widely this story resonates." The situation didn't develop suddenly. 3 months earlier, I'd purchased the old Miller homestead, a 3-acre parcel sitting just beyond the HOA's legal perimeter. The original survey had incorrectly documented the boundaries decades ago. While surrounding properties paid association fees, my land remained under municipal jurisdiction according to official records. No HOA regulations, no mandatory payments. This technicality seemed to infuriate Dawson, the self-appointed compliance officer. It began with aggressively worded letters, full of fabricated legal threats. Then came official-looking violation notices attached to my gate. Eventually, he started appearing in person, wearing that ridiculous costume, pretending to hold law enforcement authority. I ignored the initial encounters, but then he began parking near my property line after dark, sweeping a high-powered flashlight across my yard as if conducting official patrols. I contacted municipal planning officials. They verified what I already understood. Dawson's so-called HOA held no legal authority over my land. His actions constituted criminal impersonation, a prosecutable offense. So when he appeared the following morning, posturing with renewed determination, I decided to establish clear boundaries. Set foot on my property again without proper legal authority, I stated, my tone measured, and you'll be committing criminal trespass. Do you comprehend this clearly? He delivered that artificial tough guys theory people used when they're in over their depth. Then he adjusted his jacket slightly, exposing the black handgun secured at his hip. That's when I recognized this wasn't mere role-playing anymore. He was escalating dangerously with no understanding of who he was confronting. He rested his palm on that weapon as though it conveyed genuine power. The counterfeit badge on his jacket caught the morning light, but I detected the uncertainty beginning to surface behind his eyes. I've confronted genuine threats throughout my career. This individual was merely performing. "Do you truly wish to proceed down this path?" I asked quietly. He squared his shoulders. "I'm enforcing community regulations, sir. You are obligated to complete the HOA documentation. The board has authorized necessary measures for non-compliant residents." "The board?" I said, stepping down from my porch. "You mean that defunct, unincorporated organization? The same entity the municipality dissolved over a year ago?" His artificial confidence wavered, then returned with visible effort. "You're misinformed about our authority." "I'm sufficiently informed, and I know impersonating law enforcement carries serious criminal penalties." That captured his full attention. His grip tightened on the holster strap. "Sir, I don't believe you grasped the situation." "No," I interrupted, my voice dropping lower. "You're the one failing to comprehend. You are standing on private property, wearing unauthorized insignia, carrying a functional firearm. Your only appropriate action right now is securing that weapon and hoping you depart unharmed." For a prolonged moment, he remained motionless. Then his thumb moved, disengaging the safety mechanism. My training activated immediately. Calm, controlled response. I gradually raised my hands, not from apprehension, but to maintain visual focus where I needed it. "Consider your next actions carefully," I did it evenly. "If you discharge that weapon, you'll never experience freedom again."
He sneered with forced bravado. "You speak as though you represent legal authority here." That prompted a slight, cold smile. "I don't speak as though I represent the law. I am the law." The declaration struck him physically. I moved my jacket aside, revealing the polished silver badge fastened to my belt. County Sheriff engraved clearly across the center. His eyes widened dramatically, all that fabricated authority evaporating instantaneously. He stammered incoherently, You're the sheriff?" "Correct." Before he could process this revelation, I moved decisively, my hand securing his wrist, redirecting the firearm smoothly away from his control. He grunted in surprise, attempting resistance, but years of defensive tactics training made the move automatic. The weapon dropped on the gravel driveway. "Place your hands behind your back," I commanded. He hesitated momentarily. I advanced one step. Now he complied, trembling visibly as I secured handcuffs around his wrists. "You are under arrest for criminal trespass, unlawful weapon display, and impersonating law enforcement," I stated clearly. "You maintained a right to remain silent, and I strongly recommend exercising it." He attempted to mutter something about instructions and the HOA president, but his voice fractured midway. I retrieved his firearm, cleared the chamber safely, and set it aside securely. "You're going to provide complete information, and if someone's directing your actions, I'll identify them as well." The terror in his expression confirmed he understood. This wasn't a bluff. If you're appreciating this property's ride narrative, please like and subscribe to Winds of Thought, because the legal outcomes become even more significant. I waited for additional units before initiating questioning. The men were made and cuffed, seated on my driveway edge, perspiration tracing lines down his face. My deputies documented the imitation security vehicle, the unauthorized decals, the amateur lighting system, even the non-functional radio equipment. This was comprehensive impersonation equipment. When I leaned against my truck's front quarter panel and folded my arms, he avoided eye contact completely. "Begin explaining. Who authorized this?" He swallowed difficultly. I was instructed to ensure your compliance, to compel your membership." "Authorized by whom?" He paused nervously. Then the name emerged as a whisper. Gwendolyn Pierce, the HOA chairperson. Third surface, the name I'd heard referenced by neighbors for months. The individual operating Oakwood Estates as her personal domain. What specific instructions did she provide? "She claimed you were violating mandatory HOA requirements and that the board had approved enforcement measures." He continued, "She promised cash payment." I exhaled slowly. "So she paid you to commit multiple felonies?" He looked upward desperately. "I didn't realize you were law enforcement. That substantially worsens your situation. You aimed a loaded firearm at a private citizen on their property without justification. That constitutes aggravated assault combined with impersonation and unlawful weapon display. You're facing substantial incarceration." When my deputies escorted him to the patrol vehicle, he began pleading for mercy. I offered no response. I contacted the district attorney's office directly and provided complete details: the counterfeit uniform, the weapon, the admission. Within 90 minutes, we had an arrest warrant prepared for Gwendolyn Pierce. We executed it that same afternoon. Gwendolyn answered her door wearing designer leisure wear, holding a wine glass, completely oblivious that multiple sheriff's vehicles occupied her driveway. "Gwendolyn Pierce," I stated, badge clearly displayed. She blinked repeatedly. "Yes? You're under arrest for criminal conspiracy, solicitation of impersonation, and unlawful coercion." Her jaw dropped noticeably. "This is impossible. I lead the HOA." "Not any longer," I responded. "We executed the arrest without additional discussion." She attempted shouting about territorial authority and board power, but every justification collapsed when we presented the recording of her impersonator aiming a weapon at me. By the following morning, the district attorney had filed comprehensive charges. The impersonator received a 5-year prison sentence for officer impersonation and weapons offenses. Gwendolyn, she orchestrated the scheme, received 7 years, permanent exclusion from the HOA, and $175,000 in fines for conspiracy and fraud. As for my property, I installed a new middle sign at the entrance reading, "This property protected by County Sheriff's Office." No more imitation officers, no more intimidation, just tranquility. and proper legal protection. That's how counterfeit authority encountered actual justice. One individual believed displaying a costume and firearm would command obedience. Ultimately, it earned him transportation and county detention and a permanent criminal record. The expression on his face when he recognized my actual identity, the genuine sheriff, communicated everything. You can imitate authority, imitate courage, even imitate official designation, but you cannot imitate the rule of law. When the situation resolved, my property returned to its peaceful state. No more flashing lights, no more raised voices, no threats. Just me, my porch, and the same coffee I never finished. Authority cannot be manufactured through costumes or weapons. What's your perspective, everyone? Did he receive appropriate consequences? Should the penalties have been more severe? Seriously, imagine this scenario. Someone arrives at your home, displays fake ID and brandishes a firearm to force HOA membership.
How would you have responded in that situation? Would you have maintained your position, contacted the authorities, or handled it differently? I'm genuinely interested in your thoughts. Share your perspectives in the comments below. If you found this property rights story engaging, please support our channel by liking this video. It helps our content reach wider audiences. And honestly, our next HOA narrative will be even more dramatic. Conclusion. The law doesn't recognize homemade badges or imaginary authority.